Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to be addressing any fears that you might have when it comes to switching to a Pixie cup. I know that it can seem overwhelming to switch from tampons to a cup, but I promise after this video you'll feel a lot better. The first fear question is, what if my menstrual cup is stuck? And the fact is, a super important thing to remember when using a menstrual cup is it cannot actually get stuck. When you insert the cup, it's important that you hear that a seal is formed, and the same applies for taking the cup out but backwards. You want to make sure when you pinch the cup or you push down one of those sides when taking the cup out that you hear the seal being broken, and then you're able to simply wiggle that cup out. It can't get stuck, so don't be afraid of that. The next question is, what if my menstrual cup leaks? And the answer to that is your menstrual cup will only leak if it's not inserted properly. That is the only way it will leak. And so as long as you are making sure after you insert your cup that you have a tight seal, you should be totally fine. After inserting your cup using one of the different folds that we have, you want to make sure you run your index finger around the rim of the cup so that you can make sure no sides are still pushed down. You can either run your finger around the rim of the cup, or you can get the bottom of the base and gently twist that cup 360 degrees, then give it a little tiny tug with the stem just to make sure that that seal is tight. If you have a tight seal, you will not have any leaks. Now we have, what if inserting the menstrual cup hurts? In the beginning, it could be slightly uncomfortable to insert your menstrual cup, but most women say they have no pain. If you are experiencing any discomfort after inserting your cup, you might need a different cup size, or you might need to play around with the placement of your cup by either moving it a little bit higher up or a little bit lower in your vaginal canal. There are a few different folds you can use when inserting your cup. We do have a video on our YouTube channel that goes over the different folds, as well as a guide on our blog, so feel free to check out those resources. But you can also try experimenting with different folds to see if any of the folds are more comfortable. We also have a Pixie cup lubricant that makes it super easy to insert the cup if you are having issues sliding it in. But you should not have any pain when inserting your cup. Next question, what if wearing a menstrual cup affects my IUD? This is a question we get a lot of the time, and the good news is you can still use a menstrual cup if you have an IUD. You do want to speak to your gynecologist and make sure that your strings are trimmed short enough so they will not hang over the edge of your cup, and make sure that when you are removing your menstrual cup that you break the seal. That way it will not disrupt your strings and it will not cause those strings to be pulled. Here is an illustration that shows how your IUD strings should sit inside of a menstrual cup. There's the strings and they just sit right above the menstrual cup. So you shouldn't have any problems there. We do have a detailed blog post that goes into more detail if you still have some questions. The next two questions I'm going to combine into one answer, and they are, can I pee while using a menstrual cup, and can I have a bowel movement while using a menstrual cup? The answer to both of these questions is yes. Again, as long as your cup is properly placed and there is a tight seal created, you should not have any issues. If you are having a bowel movement, sometimes women like to take their cup out prior, but it is not required. As long as your cup is placed correctly in the vaginal canal and it's not sitting too low would be that the base and the stem are starting to stick out, then you should be totally fine. If your cup is placed too low, then you can risk pushing out your menstrual cup while you are having a bowel movement, but that should not happen as long as your cup is securely inside your vaginal canal with a tight seal. For peeing, there is no problem at all, super easy, and it's so much nicer than peeing on your tampon string. And the last question I'm going to go over is, can wearing a menstrual cup cause toxic shock syndrome, or TSS? So TSS happens when a substance is left in the body for too long, and tampons are a huge culprit for this because sometimes with tampons you have the risk of particles getting stuck into the cotton, and if you leave the tampon in too long, it can cause the bacteria to overgrow and can cause an infection. With a menstrual cup, you are constantly emptying it out. Well, not constantly, only a few times a day, and that way you are emptying it out and then you're giving it a quick rinse and a quick wash, so you are getting all of the period blood out of it, and there is no way for anything to be trapped in the medical grade silicone. So this is not a risk as long as you are keeping your cup super clean and not wearing it for any longer than the recommended time, which is 12 hours max. If you follow those recommendations, you'll be totally fine and you will not get toxic shock syndrome. That covers most of the fear-based questions that we receive from people who are afraid to switch to a menstrual cup. If I didn't get to your question, please leave it in the comments or send us a message. We would love to support you through this transition, and we want you to have no fear in doing so. It really isn't scary. I know that it can seem like a lot of information, but switching over is the best decision that I've made. And if you are still hesitant, we do have a 100% happiness guarantee that if for any reason you don't like your Pixie cup, we'll refund you, we'll exchange you, or we'll do whatever we need to make sure that you are happy. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.